di Indonesia versus Filipina ya. Enggak deng. Nah itu baru ganti Ina. Tadi akun siapa berarti cok? Apa sih ini? Epos, nah anjing nggak usah diumpetin. Ngapain nih? Kan membanggakan dua pihak, Indonesia dan juga EVOS. Ini kan pure EVOS, nggak ada campuran yang lain kecuali Blackfish kan. Filipina tuh campuran kali. Udah squad. Kalau ini kan ngapain ini cok? Udah nggak apa-apa ya, pos aja. Kalau yang protes emang ya. Masalahnya ya udah lah. Mau gimana lagi? Emang mereka yang pantas gitu kan. Dan dia membuktikan tuh 1-0. Dan kita lihat nih match kedua udah kebaca apa gimana.
We watched the replay and we saw what happened. What led up to that flank from Psychots that turned the game around. It was when Soriano stole the orange buff, and when he walked down to the mid lane, he did not check the bush. This is something that I mentioned is very uncharacteristic for Soriano. Usually on the Renner, he shoots at every bush. He doesn't leave any bush behind. He tries to open it up. Sometimes even after shooting it, he walks in just to check. And that's the little mistake. That's the little moment that actually ended up being the core, the reason, the sole reason, I believe, as to how Indonesia were able to come back.
It's definitely the turning point, right? It only takes one moment for you to lose a game where you've been dominating for about 10 minutes. This is why the Mobile Legends is so exciting. The game's pace is insane, and once you lose your tempo, once you lose your advantage, it's a completely different game, and you need to adjust and do things differently from what you've been actually performing for the last 10 minutes. So now we'll have to see. I mean, the Beatrix, man, it's, at this point, you see a Beatrix, it's synonymous with the Filipino sniper almost. It just comes to mind. So this is definitely something that the Philippines will try and use again. And we already mentioned earlier that having such a diverse choice of weapons allows the Beatrix to do different things. Burst people down, clear waves, right? Poke people from far away, take down turrets from far away as well. So just like that,
Beatrix lepas lagi ya. Tapi masih impactnya masih kaja sih. Gila. Nah, kenapa udah? Ya ampun, makanya dia ganti nama squad. Gue protes nih sekarang nih.
Slowly but surely, the members from Indonesia.
To add on to that, you know, we already know that the Farsa is just a signature pick for.
Soalnya di kanan nggak diganti PH. Aja udah sama-sama aja nih, kiri EVOS, kanan Blacklist sama Yes, YS.
So much problems in game number 1. With the Yuzong now picked up, they are going to go for the Iesf as well. And with this Iesf, it does show that they are really trying to stop this Beatrix from being a problem.
Kan gue bilang tadi kalau menang dua sisi yang dapat penghargaan gitu kan, Indonesia sama EVOS gitu. Dia mewakili seluruhan dan juga mewakili timnya sendiri. Ini dia oleh ya, nggak usah berantem gitu. Padahal gue juga tadi protes. Udah.
So the utility game is definitely on point on this Iesf pick.
Agreed.
And if you think about it, I think it's gonna be very difficult for the Philippines to try and dive in.
Bejon mode M1 kah?
Well, so the kiting game that the Philippines have been abusing so often has been slightly countered by this utility from Indonesia. It's a very smart option.
The Mathilda though, they're still going and opting for the pick as game number 1. But like we mentioned, Philippines don't really need to change their drafts. What they need to change, in our opinion, after the game, after we spoke about it a bit, is how they took that game, how they executed their game plan. Because it came down to that 10-minute moment, that moment where Soriano did not check the bush. That moment gave Indonesia a chance to turn the tides, and this time, Philippines need to be a bit more disciplined. They need to stick with what works. Don't change the course of action by going for these team fights that are technically, or yeah, literally unnecessary with this team composition. They can disengage really well, they can siege very well, but you can see right now with the Melissa ban, Philippines are already changing just a little, just a few things.
I
Ben
was going to
Melissa.
go for the front two backs because I was about to say in the previous
Apakah
game,
PH takut
they made
dengan
sure
Melissa
Philippines
Branjet?
had a difficult time. They made sure that Soriano was the one having a great lane, but due to that action, Sycots was able to actually be relatively impactful in the game, despite a very rough early game as well. So maybe I was thinking that they might just change their area of focus. But now with the ban towards Brands here, it seems like they are planning on doing the same thing, just better, just cleaner.
Well, in game number 1, they banned out the Leslie and the Claude. So that means with the Melissa ban, one of those heroes will be left to open. Leslie and Claude, which are both lethal on the hands of Brands, right? And looking at how he played the lane, honestly, I do feel like Philippines might want to give Indonesia the Claude, ban the Leslie, right? Because Leslie will create more problems for them, especially if Brands gets to farm, as he usually does. He's so good at playing it slow, farming to get those power spikes. And now we're going to have to see what they go for in the bans right now. And Rashi, what do you think it's going to be?
Ooh. Valentina has been banned away from Indonesia, by Indonesia actually. So Philippines, they won't have that kind of flexibility available to them. So it's interesting to see what exactly will be the solution, especially for that Iesf. Not a lot of heroes can match that mid-range coming in, that long-range artillery and utility. So they might just go the opposite direction and go for something aggressive, something that can be a big problem, a big kill pressure, kill threat for
Brody.
On the side of the Philippines,
Brody Catlen.
go for that Claude ban instead. So Leslie is the option that they would rather face, Mirko.
All right. That's something that I personally don't agree with, right? I expected them to ban the Leslie because in the later stages, this Leslie is going to create more problems for them. Remembering that Philippines already have a taunt, already have some CC, and they already have very good disengage. With the Mathilda, the Claude won't really be able to catch up with a lot of these positions, right? I feel like Philippines are looking at it in another way. They're looking at that Iesf, they're looking at that Divine Judgment from the Catat and the Furious Dive. Obviously, with the Petrify from the Yuzong, all these 3 heroes can lock people down for the Claude to deal so much damage. And this team fight hero is going to fit really well in Indonesia's composition. So Philippines, they're already changing a few things here now, hovering over the Fairness to go to the mid lane into the hands of Imam. And this will definitely help them because the Fairness was also one of the reasons as to why they weren't able to melt the Indonesian members down.
Not just melt the Indonesian members down, it's also the reason why they lost that fight where they were able to keep, Indonesia was able to keep Brands alive.
Anjing mas-mas MPL mulu itu di belakang, Cok.
Off the back of a very great
di belakang Venus. Mas-mas MPL anjing.
The Philippines have a lot more utility when it comes to actually actual survivability. They have a lot of saves, a lot of shielding, and now with the Cold Altar, that extra bit, that second chance.
Gila banyak kerjaan banget ya Mas ya. Terus dari Iesf ke M4. Gila, rezekinya nggak putus. Bisa M4, PL.
So the dive potential from Philippines is very, very minimal, and we have to see what exactly will be the choice here, because for the Philippines, it seems to be the same thing. Front to back all the way, abuse range, save our core members, and just like that, the answer from Indonesia, Leslie, and now it's the Akai.
Well, now considering that they have these 2 very vulnerable backline heroes, they need something like the Akai to provide a bit more cover for the team, but Philippines respond with Grok in the jungle for Del Rosario.
What?
We mentioned that he likes to go for some crazy picks sometimes, like the Valentina, the Guinevere as well in the jungle. Well, he's trying to pull off the Grok in the jungle now here in Iesf. Last time we saw it, it was high.
It was high. And it's just a very, very interesting situation here.
Apakah PH ingin mencoba meta di Iesf ya guys ya?
Because in the late fights, you saw that Soriano was just unable to get anywhere safe. He was chased away by the Black Dragon form, and he was deleted by Taz on the Gusion. Now, with an Akai instead of a Gusion, can Indonesia get the same kind of pressure onto Soriano?
Well, that question will be answered very, very soon as we enter the game, Arashi. But this time I think
Kayaknya 2-0 deh ini mah.
see the best of 3 go all
Counter
the way.
shot
This
win ya,
time,
bos.
Miyarashi will be predicting Indonesia to win, to use the caster curse to get the most value out of this incredible series of Indonesia versus Philippines. Once again, as we jump into the land of dawn with Taz starting on the orange buff and Del Rosario doing the same on the opposite side.
Slow start for both these junglers. They are tankier junglers essentially, so they are going to be playing a lot more for utility. But I guess Taz on the right can be a lot more just like that. You can see that the Philippines, they really enjoy using
Gameplaynya ngeblokir mulu, ngeblokir jungle gitu mulu, iseng-iseng mulu.
And you can see the response coming in from the Indonesian
Saya
players.
kok join
The
guys.
Philippines already
War
dictating
mid
what the movements are going to be.
Both teams again just fighting for that mid control that is so prio, so necessary now in this current meta. Both Taz and Del Rosario are looking to go for this lethal wanderer, but it does feel like Indonesia will have a bit more of an advantage with the faster wave clear in the mid lane. That's the lethal wanderer secured by Taz, getting him a bit more XP and gold to play with. So he'll have that power spike very early on, already at level 4.
As we mentioned, the wave clear game is now being a lot more monitored, a lot more managed by the players from the side of Indonesia. They've suffered from it once, they are not trying to suffer the same fate again. So right now, they're just moving around, and I think before the first turtle spawns, it's going to be relatively slow. But as I say that though,
oh, there you go. That's the barrier with a wild charge. Psychot's now going to be caught. First blood over to Philippines, but look at Taz. He's able to bring the members back in with a heavy spin. Del Rosario going to fall.
Bukan ganti squad harus nunggu sehari jedanya.
Oh, enggak, forced to flicker out of there. Philuna a bit late on this rotation to match up against the Indonesian mid laners, but it is still just going to be a 1-for-1.
So 1-for-1. So both teams now holding their own, but this is where things get a bit hairy. The first turtle, where everyone has their ultimates, we have to see who can actually weave in the better team fight.
No ultimate for Del Rosario just now. Taz gonna go for it. Will be able to secure the turtle with a brilliant retribution. Dreams gets knocked up, but Philippines decide to back off. Now Dreams
ditarik,
gets the divine judgment onto Imam, who's able to flicker away. Psychots has a black dragon form, looking for it, just decides to zone the Filipino members here and backs off.
Back away, and we can take a look at how the changes have impacted this Pharaoh.
Oh, di sini nggak ada sponsor ya yang di belakang facecam gua nih.
And with one single spell, the rest of the team from Indonesia is able to melt down that HP.
Nggak ada sponsoran.
It really isn't an all-win team fight.
Nggak ada sponsornya apa gimana ini game?
It's very situationally used to help save members from big burst damage.
Now it's a complete change.
Leslie.
One Imam though gonna be immobilized. That's the damage coming through. Whew. Sniped down by Brands, but the kill will go over to Hijume. Brands sacrificing a bit of gold there in the bottom side, but will still be able to catch up down below to pick up that cannon minion.
With stronger laners on the hands of the Indonesian players, they are now able to actually match the aggression, the fights, the skirmishes from the members of the Philippines. And now you can see that the Kaja pick is just having a lot more impact. This is what they wanted to do in game number 1, but the macro play.
Kaja dilepas 2 kali, kocak.
To deny that. That won't be the case for this game though, and now this becomes a contest of proactivity. Who can have the higher work rate, the more versatile maneuvers, and just the more proactive plays.
And this is the reason as to why I felt like the Leslie should have been the one, the hero, to be banned out by Team Philippines. Because you can see, on this Leslie, sure, you're very vulnerable, but you also are really good at actually going at duels up against the Beatrix. I would actually say in a 1v1, it's skill dependent, but Leslie has a bit of an edge. Why? Because he doesn't need to target any of his skills.
POD udah jadi.
Meanwhile for the Beatrix,
Leslie harusnya Wintalker atau nggak bersek udah jadi.
Be able to compete in that range battle.
They have to be careful though, because Soriano has the Blade of Despair completed. It will be a big factor in the next fight.
Mati itu Sambo kan.
But it seems like the Indonesians will have a bit of a lead in the control game.
Divine Judgment and the Petrify.
Harus multi itu sendiri.
Be able to pop the call. Alter Taz against 3 members, still able to secure the turtle. Right now, Psychot jumps in with the Black Dragon form, zoning the backline away. Dapadap gonna be pinned down onto the wall with the heavy spin, and that's Hijume who picks up the killing spree.
Psychot selalu ya guys ya bikin hunter dulu buat Yujong, catat. Jadi kalau kalian mau main Yujong sekelas Psychot, bikin lah hunter. Gue bukan ngejek, gue beneran nih.
Is this a momentum thing? We'll just have to see. Hijime with the Ice Queen's wand right now will ensure that the Filipino members need to be a bit more careful, even more careful in how they want to position. They've been getting caught out without that slow as well.
Brands has just been farming up a storm. I really want to take a look at this item.
Yo.
Right? It's a good steal by Soriano, but he got full turret gold, clearing waves constantly.
Oh, Branjit
Should have
pakai
more gold than Soriano here with the assist that he got
emblemnya
as
kos
well.
kaki ya?
But here in the
Kenapa
mid lane,
nggak
bottom
pakai
side river,
jam baker?
Del Rosario gonna be chained up again, and that's the pin down with a
Dimatiin
heavy
voice-nya.
spin. Del Rosario
Ini aneh juga nih. Kayak lawan Gika ya nih. Sekarang gue balikin deh. Kemarin ada yang bilang sengaja ngalah pas lawan Geek. Ini sekarang aneh kan mainnya sengaja juga lah. Enak nggak? Nah kalau komen tuh jangan ngotak dikit ngentot. Main lemes banget katanya tuh, bilangnya gitu.
At any moment, it starts with the slow, and then it gets followed up with the divine judgment, with the heavy spin. So Indonesia.
Ini lawannya lemes gini, ayo dong komen dong.
And right now, they also have
tai
the advantage when
semua.
it comes to range, and also when it comes to that late game. They have that artillery with the real world manipulation, and they also have the Leslie that can do a lot of true damage up to 2k in a single hit, and in the late game Soriano will have a lot of issues trying to get any impact done in the middle of a big team fight.
There's so much CC from Team Indonesia. There's a lot of survivability from Philippines, but they need to be able to utilize that crazy engage from the wild charge, and right now, it just doesn't feel like they are going to be able to. Taz there, going for the turtle. That's going to be the real world manipulation that was popped into for Soriano to flicker out. They baited out the gold altar, and they baited out Villaluna into the other side of the wall. Mid lane turret going to be sieged down. Brands looking to just to poke the Filipino members, but it's a good disengage by both teams. It's still a small victory for Indonesia with that turtle take.
Look at how much movement, how much of a reaction you can see from the Filipino players whenever Sycots is on the map, whenever he makes an appearance. He wasn't even popping the Black Dragon from
Ini dia partner trans 7 sama video.
In fear of that engage coming through. And when you are so focused like that, you are not looking at Taz with a heavy spin. You are not looking at Dreams waiting for that divine judgment.
What I want to look at is definitely the items here for Brands, because I wonder how much gold he's actually gone this game. So far, he has been left untouched in every farm. And he's dealing so much damage. That's going to be the flicker over to the Divine Judgment as well to find Del Rosario. The true damage does its work. Brands picks up the kill. Dapadap trying to look for a re-engage now, but only taunting Taz. Look at the poke put down by Brands. Dream's going to be in the midst of it all right now, as he is going to be able to dish out some damage to zone the other members away. Dream still there with Psychots from Psychots. With a petrified to find Soriano, and the furious dive to get Imam low under the tier 1, gunned down by Brands. It's a 2-0 trade for Indonesia.
Di video.com sama di YouTube jauh, masih duluan YouTube, beda 1 menit.
You barely notice it until it's way too late. Let's take a look at that replay right now. The fight was breaking up. There's a lot of action back and forth.
Dari belakang tuh Psychot anjing keren, cok. Mau keren tapi ngalah kayaknya nih. PH kan gitu. Portrait netizen yang nggak demen PH ngalah gini mainnya. Mainnya aneh nggak boleh PH, pokoknya harus serius. Kalau aneh gini berarti sengaja gitu kata netizen. Gimana tim yang wakilin Indo, ada yang komen gitu nggak ya? Ada lah pasti. Dari ormas tertentu. Cepat itu anjir.
Is able to get out, has the flicker. They're gonna go in for another re-engage here. Just some poke down onto the frontliners, and you can see that true damage, Arashi. I really wonder what the items are looking like right now, because the damage is pretty unreal already in 9 minutes for a Leslie.
It comes with a true damage, and when you're concerned about a true damage, you can actually feel the burn coming in as well. Look at the items, as you mentioned. the Windtalker, the Endless Battle as well, allows him to get so much more burst damage initially, and after that, the Berserker's Fury allows him to dish out a healthy amount of DPS. On the other hand, you can see the Iesf, right? Hijumi with the glowing wand, all these tanky members are taking
Biar dia impor nggak ketebak nih gameplaynya nih, kan gitu. Ada yang nggak seneng emang.
Luna going to be caught in that real world manipulation. Imam as well zoned away. The wave manipulation from Indonesia, absolutely phenomenal, as they are going to be able to use the Lord down below to pick up a turret. With Catat zoning the other members away with a Black Dragon form as well. That's base turret number 1 taken down. Top side pushing in, but Indonesia will decide to just play it slow, go out the mid lane and reset.
They have an absolute
harus di buff dah item Oracle tuh.
Having the Iesf,
Kurang
having the
banget.
Leslie means that you do not have to go and force those fights, because there's no other way for the Philippines to dish back that kind of damage. Soriano is the only solution they have, and at this point, when the only option you have, when you only have a single option, it becomes very easy for your opponents to try and adjust to that. But the Philippines, it seems like they are not willing to completely concede control just yet. They need to be very careful though, because the flank game, that flank game is just so on point from Indonesia right now.
This is what we saw in game 1, only just the opposite happening here in game 2. Indonesia having control the whole 10 minutes.
Nggak ada paus nih.
Philippines with a very
Bihom
similar
lagi bersahabat kah?
here to look for something, because it's
Oh,
gonna be
lihat tuh.
steal play from
What?
Indonesia.
Nah, ada betot.
The divine judgment onto the best possible target. Soriano's out. Dapadap has to flicker out, but Psychos chases him down with a passive. Dapadap still surviving.
Aduh, slow banget. Oh, what itu?
One member taken down, but that might just be the member that Indonesia needs to pick up some
Gila,
more
masih
base
kebetot
turrets.
loh, udah flicker
That
aja.
high ground control is no longer available for Soriano. Dapadap trying to
Bisa
go in
N
for
ini.
some damage right there, but it's actually going to be petrified from Imam. He's going to be taken down. The wild charge in
Bisa N ini.
desperation. Villaluna in the back has to back off. It's an absolutely insane game and an insane performance from Indonesia as they knock Philippines down to the lower brackets.
Sengaja. Enggak. Ini sengaja cowok PH ngalah tawan, sengaja. Gua bocil sengaja. PDMPLI. Enggak sengaja cowok jelek. MPLI palangsungan. Nah, stop excuse and reason. Blacklist lost to gig MPLI. Blacklist lost FOC. Stop beralasan untuk M4. Tuh. Enggak, ini alasan buat M4 nih. Enggak bisa. Alasannya karena mau fokus M4. Oke, guys. Kita bakal ketemu lagi di next video atau next streaming selanjutnya. Jadi jangan lupa komen, like, subscribe ya. Jangan lupa komen PH sengaja fokus M4 gitu ya. Fokus M4 dari MPLI anjing. Nah, ya.